The microphone was on, and I was halfway through reading the news when the door opened, and in came my Auntie Ethel with some shopping. Then a member of the audience opened the other door, and the two of them began talking about what was in the bags, while I struggled to continue the bulletin. This unlikely scene was happening not, I'm glad to say, in a studio, but in a kitchen in suburban Leeds. The news reader was me in my early teens, and the audience was my mum, who'd been listening patiently to my early broadcasting efforts. The microphone was a birthday present I'd wired from the kitchen table to the radio in the sitting room, and my news script was the front page of the evening newspaper. Pretty soon, Mum and Auntie Ethel realised I was far from pleased that they'd broken into the bulletin, so they made a pot of tea and sat down to listen to the rest of my news. Fortunately, the interruption didn't put me off a career in broadcasting, though it did take me some years to realise that that was what I really wanted to do. I've talked into microphones on BBC One for almost every year for more than 50 years, and occasionally on BBC Two and ITV as well. And during that time, I've been involved with 3 groundbreaking programmes: Newsround, Swap Shop and Country File, all of which I'm enormously proud. I've worked with some great teams who've become friends as well as colleagues. I've travelled to more than 90 countries and met a vast number of people, from prime ministers to pop stars, from inquisitive children to a future saint. I count myself tremendously fortunate to have survived for so long in an industry which can be notoriously fickle, but which I love unconditionally. We've all heard that well-known piece of advice first coined by W.C. Fields: never work with animals or children. Well, I've done both throughout my career. In fact, I couldn't have succeeded without them. So in my case, at least, that old adage is totally wrong. I suppose one reason for my longevity is that I've never been very ambitious. I've not sought the headlines, I've never seriously courted celebrity, nor been tempted to take chances on high-profile but potentially risky and short-lived programmes, apart from one, and that was Newsround, which was a 6-week experiment in 1972. Thankfully, it's still going strong, so, as it turned out, it wasn't much of a gamble, and a recent poll in Radio Times placed Newsround at number 3 in the list of the top 20 children's programmes of all time. And Country File is often in the top 20 of most watched programmes. During my 30 years there, I've seen rural issues ranging from social isolation and deprivation to the way that our food is produced climb higher and higher up the national agenda, making the programme a vital conduit of information to millions of concerned viewers. The fact that our audience is split pretty evenly between country dwellers and townies proves to me that, united as a nation in this at least, we want to preserve, protect and enjoy our glorious countryside. Every week we highlight the problems that it faces. In my lifetime, half our hedgerows have gone, and so have 2/3 of our small family farms, while at the same time showcasing the life-enhancing experiences our countryside can offer. This dichotomy is what makes working on Country File so rewarding. I've always been content to be a jobbing broadcaster, taking each day as it comes and hoping it'll bring good stories and interesting people, which is probably why I've never been out of work in half a century. Journalism has taken me from the cobbled streets of my childhood to the country roads that crisscross our rural heartland, and most of that time it's been by way of the world's greatest broadcasting organisation, the BBC. On my first attempt to film a news story for television, the cameraman told me, "A movie camera either likes you or not, and John, you're lucky." So, being a firm believer in making my own luck, I stuck with broadcasting. But my first love was the printed word, and I thought it was time to put down some of my lifelong experiences in this book, while I can still remember. My watchword has always been to keep it short and keep it simple, without being simplistic. Hopefully the latter still applies, but the former has gone out of the window, and I hope that you now enjoy wandering with me down a memory lane that I'm so glad, so grateful to have trod.